looking at? Like, is there a percentage of the private territorial waters that they're looking at to designate for marine protected areas in one way or another?
No, there's no percentage. You know, what we've looked at is priority areas, and we've also looked at, you know, kind of how sensitive different areas are. Just for an example, you know, areas where there's deep water corals and is kind of an area which is easily impacted, you know, by bottom fishing. And so that's kind of one particular habitat that, you know, concern expressed, and you know, some protection would be necessary.
Right. Well, the reason I'm asking is, I mean, that's a real key and integral part of any marine use plan, because, you know, we've already got on the BC coast, we've set aside, you know, we've got 20% RCAs under DFOs. We've got an existing 3% MPA in Waihanas that's being taken to Parliament, but that 3% is ultimately, you know, shooting for 30% coverage. So, and I don't know what the Haida Marine Use Plan is percentage-wise for their footprint of the MPAs, and then there's the PNCIMA umbrella coming over top of all the existing and established jurisdictions. And, you know, I'm just trying to get a feel at any one of these meetings, what percentage of the BC coast are we looking at that's ultimately being, you know, going to come under an MPA status of one sort or another. You know, and we don't seem to get too many specific, when we ask for percentages. I mean, we've got it with Waihanas, but that took a long time to get, and I just wondered if you're that far yet in your own process.
No, we haven't, like I said, we haven't got to a percentage. Just some examples I can provide. I know, like New Zealand right now is looking at protecting 10% of inshore habitats, you know, as marine protected areas. And I mean, you're all familiar with Great Barrier Reef, which has, I mean, they've ended up with something like 30%. Right? So I think those are all, I think we have to look at kind of something that fits with Haida Gwaii, and we see that's something certainly an advisory group could help with. But from a Haida perspective, you know, we have looked at some priority areas, and I think those are things that we bring for kind of discussion at, you know, in this process.
Yeah, I just hope it works as well as the Waihanas one did, because that worked really well.
One of the things that it's been in November, it was 28 years and 29 years. I'm in my 29th year. I'm trying to get the fisheries to do something about the seals and seal lines on, not only on Haida Gwaii, but on the coast. And, you know, for the first part of the presentation, they call anything like this, if we were to open sealing on the west coast, they put it under New Emerging Fisheries Act. And for Christ's sake, we're in Canada, hey? There's been a seal hunt going in the Arctic and on the East Coast, and seal hunt that basically ended here in 1972 when they quit flying furs. And the bounty hunt started in 1914 and ended in 1964. Went on for 50 years, not a bad salmon season. You know, I hope this process takes a serious look at it, because I'll tell you right now, and I said this in the last meeting, if I was a manager of fisheries today, salmon would be on the endangered species list. There's only one salmon that would remain open, and the sports fishing industry has done a real good job of looking after the spring salmon rivers. All you have to do is go into the Pacific Salmon Foundation and see the kind of money that they're spending on there. And Rick's Lodge has got a coho hatchery going on the north end of the island there, and the returns are just incredible. And, you know, but we're not doing anything to manage those uncontrolled predators. And that's a serious problem, because we talk about our culture, and our culture is to protect these things. Who's in the way? Department of Fisheries. And I one thing, it says address threats to Haikwa ecosystem and species over long and short term. Haikwa salmon should be on the endangered species list today. There's no other position for it to be in. And if it wasn't for what it was and dependence of our First Nations people on that species, you know, I believe it would have been on an endangered species list a number of years ago. Because these are the things that this process has to work, has to really look through to ensure that measures are taken to control those other predators. And, you know, when we travel up and down our coast today, the poverty in our communities, including Skidegate, is rampant. You know, we were loggers, we were fishermen, and neither of those things are happening for our communities anymore. You know, when we look back at our age group, I was in a logging camp when I was 15. You went to work if you didn't want to go to school. I was a commercial fisherman in the summer and a logger in the winter. You know, those things happen. They're not here anymore. So we have to really take a look at every aspect of this. And I'll tell you, the seal and seal line industry can make a real valuable economic impact for our communities today. And it's an industry that can start tomorrow. And when you're looking at this process, to go to the Pumpkin's River, in 1998, they took over 300 seals out of the Pumpkin's River. 300% return the next cycle. Their science went inconclusive because Campbell River and Cowichan River did better that year too as well. You know, and this is Peter Olesiak's numbers. And one thing he said to me, he said, "Why are you worried about the seal? You should be worried about the seal line. They eat 55 kilograms of fish a day. And the populations are just totally out of control. When these guys opened their lodge up in Langara, he said 30 to 50 animals at the rock. And today there's over, the last count I did up there was 258, and that was last summer. You know, those things have to be addressed through this process. Because when I look at my grandchildren, I'm making them nothing. Oh.
Thank you. Can we go to Neil now to present the, talk to you about what the options are for engagement in PNCIMA?
Okay, so you guys have been pretty good listeners, so I'll try and keep this short and you can do some more talking. So what I want to do is sort of give you an idea of how are we proposing that communities and different interest groups can have ways to participate in the PNCIMA planning process. So it will build a little bit on some of the same ideas that Russ has just presented to you in terms of an advisory committee and things like this. And then what we'll do following the presentation is sort of invite some feedback from you and some discussion about how well are these sort of options for your participation, how well are they designed, are they going to work for people, that sort of thing. So maybe I should begin by introducing myself. My name is Neil Davis. I'm the PNCIMA coordinator for EFO. So I work with actually some of the people in the room here today, including the technical team for the HIDA and others, in trying to move this project forward. So we're just going to give you a bit of an overview of where